I think this gets to a bigger point, and a bigger problem that we have as a profession is I think we talk too much about systems and processes and we don't talk enough about people. And you know, really in all of these systems, what we should be focusing is the end user of the system and the effect on them and their views about whether or not the use of technology in that particular way is acceptable or not. Because if you've got a use case which is fundamentally unacceptable to the people you're using it with, then that's going to be a problem legally, ethically, practically. And that's, you know, if you were to use, for example, machine learning for more advanced purposes within a data protection authority to, for example, try and resolve complaints, then that's clearly going to be a potential source of tension because certainly some of the people who come to a data protection authority are sensitized by the excessive processing and automated processing of their data anyway. And then if you're going to say, okay, well, I'm going to resolve your complaint using a machine, then you can see that they're not necessarily going to like that. But there's quite a lot of interesting statistics out there about societal views on artificial intelligence. So the Turing Institute issued a really interesting study last month looking at various AI systems, from systems to detect cancer to robot vacuums to lethal autonomous weapons to, in this context, which is probably the closest analogy, the use of AI to determine eligibility for welfare. And interestingly, actually, the overall view of the public in the UK on the use of AI to determine whether or not you're eligible for welfare was marginally positive. So there were about 12% who were very concerned, 12% who didn't care at all, but with the ones in the middle actually very marginally positive in favour of that use case, which kind of surprises me because I always think people would be afraid of the use of AI because you've got that empathy gap. You know, if a human is looking at your problem, they're going to sympathise with you and take your side, whereas a soulless machine will just take a decision without any care about you. But if you look at the reasons why people were, in general, positive about using AI for welfare eligibility, they felt it would deal with it more quickly, less human error, and less risk of discrimination. But set against that, the risk that no one would be accountable for mistakes, and the system wouldn't account for individual difficulties. So, I mean, certainly if you've got a large-scale AI project, try to understand actually what the attitude of end users is towards it, and trying to understand what those concerns are, and trying to address that is really important in making your project a success from an ethical perspective and probably from a legal perspective as well.